Assalamu alaikum ladies, welcome to Healing Aspirations with Amani. My name is Amani Obeid, your holistic dental health coach. My mission is to help support women overcome their fear of the dentist and tooth pain and simplify natural oral care. Thank you for joining me today on day number 7 of the pre-Ramadan reboot. I'm very excited to have you with me today here in this, mashallah, amazing, beautiful forest. I am, alhamdulillah, in Rockwood Conservation Area in Ontario, Canada. And I wanted to ask you a question. I wanted to ask you, when was the last time that you walked barefoot here in a forest or in the sand or in the grass in your backyard? For most people today, it doesn't happen very often. And now we're actually learning that there might be a reason for you to start making this and incorporating this into your daily routine and start making it a priority. So I'm not sure if you heard of this before, some people have, there is a growing movement of something called grounding or earthing. And it's getting very popular within the holistic health community. And what it entails is you walking barefoot outside, where your soles are, of your feet are directly connected with the surface of the earth. And this is basically the main activity with earthing or grounding. And it may seem strange at first, to ditch your shoes and start actually really digging your toes in the mud, for example, or the sand at the beach, or like I said, in your backyard on some grass. And actually there's a lot of evidence that shows that it's greatly beneficial for your health by lowering free radical damage, which is also known as oxidative stress. And it reduces that, as well as, everyday stress, inflammation, and pain. So why am I recommending that you do this? For the last few sessions, I've been talking about the importance of fixing your circadian rhythm by ensuring that you're getting natural sunlight on a daily basis, especially morning sun, and also at different intervals throughout the day. I also talked about yesterday how to minimize artificial lighting so that, again, you don't disrupt your circadian rhythm, which is your internal biological clock. This is a continuation of an extension of that. Also, you being connected to the earth. We're connected to the sun cycle, and we're also connected to the earth. And regularly connecting to the earth's powerful energy, it's actually very healing and very vital for all people. It's actually good for your soul. It's good for your body's own healing abilities. And the best part about it, and nobody thinks about this, is it's very simple. Doesn't really take much effort, right? You actually just take off your shoes and it's completely free, and you can do it pretty much anywhere at any time. So all you need is just your bare feet and just you being willing to try something that seems a little bit odd. So you might be a bit skeptical about this. Why should I go outside without my shoes on? This is embarrassing, right? So I encourage you to think outside the box. I encourage you to do your own research and look into this, inshallah. Now, the reason why a lot of us sometimes think this is weird is a lot of times when we think of our bodies and the processes in our bodies, we always think of chemical terms. I'm here to tell you that even preceding these chemical reactions and chemical processes that happen in our body, we actually run on an electric current. And I'm going to quote you something from the Journal of Environmental and Public Health, and it says, "It is an established, though not widely appreciated fact, that the Earth's surface possesses a limitless and continuously renewed supply of free or mobile electrons." So I'm going a little bit here into physics, again a little bit technical, but again, my job is to simplify it for you. And the Earth's negative charges, they can create a stable internal bioelectrical environment for the normal functioning of all body systems, which may be important for setting the biological clock, which is the circadian rhythm I've been telling you about, regulating circadian rhythms, there you go, and balancing cortisol levels. And I've been talking about, for the last couple of days, about the importance of balancing your cortisol and your melatonin levels. And we want our cortisol to be high, obviously when we first wake up and throughout the day, and for it to come down, and for melatonin to kick in so we can relax our body and prepare for sleep. So basically, your body's naturally able to absorb electrical charges from the earth because your skin actually acts like a conductor. And your feet, and there's actually specific points on the balls of your feet, they're actually really, really good at receiving the Earth's electricity. Unfortunately, because of the way we're living in society, we're always wearing shoes. And on top of that, they're not grounding shoes. They're either made of a rubber sole or some sort of non-conductive surface. And the fact that we're always living above ground. A lot of people live indoors in apartment buildings, or their work is in a place where, again, they're not really connected with nature. So we're losing touch with the Earth's natural like electrical force. And like I said before, your body has a lot of electrical processes. It's not just chemical processes that happen. I mean, think about it. Your brain, your heartbeat, the activities of your neurotransmitters, they're all electrical signals. So when your electricity is off, if it's not really in sync and in tune with nature, this is going to actually affect your health. And you're like, what does this have to do with dental health? Like, you're a dental health coach. Why are you talking about this? And I like to emphasize this point, that your teeth are a reflection of, and your oral health is a reflection of your entire body. You want to know the status of a person's health, look at their mouth. Tell them, say ah, and then see how many teeth are they missing. Are they constantly in a process of decay? Do they have active gum disease? Is it such advanced gum disease that now they're losing their teeth? These are all signs that there's a serious imbalance going on in the body. And when you give the body the healing tools it needs, the teeth will regenerate and the gums will regenerate. And this is the point I really want to drive home. So basically, how does this have to do with grounding? So when you're in touch with the Earth, the electrical force coming off the Earth is able to lower this inflammation. So think of it as the Earth is kind of like a gigantic battery, and it contains like a subtle electric charge. And if you think about it, for safety and stability, almost everything in the electrical world, you've heard the word, it's grounded, right? This plug is grounded. The power plant or your refrigerator, your stove, your computer is always, right? This is what the word grounded means. Now, but what happens when a person's grounded? What happens when a person feels grounded? So when you are electrically grounded with the Earth's field, you're going to feel more solid. You're going to feel less stressed. You're going to be less tense. You're going to feel strong. You're going to feel solid. You're going to feel like you're centered. It's a really nice feeling. You're going to feel pretty much, you're going to feel good. And if you have pain, you're actually going to start feeling less pain. And as we all know, like in this modern world that we live in today, a lot of people are living in daily pain. They have constant stress in their lives. They're suffering from depression. They're suffering from anxiety. They're suffering from fatigue. They just feel like out of it. Haven't you felt like that? You felt like, oh, I just don't feel good. I just feel out of it. I don't feel right. So a lot of times, you go to the doctor, and the doctor just gives you a prescription, and he's not really, or she's not really addressing the cause of your symptoms, right? And on top of that, when they prescribe these medications, you're going to receive different side effects from them, and you're not addressing the issue. So researchers don't know the specific reasons why we have, right? It's not like there's one thing that's causing all the issues we have. My theory is just the more we have lived away from what God has intended, God's way of life, the more we are disconnected from this land, then the more we're going to suffer as a result. So if you notice, all the things I talk about is I'm just showing you, just go back to what your body was designed to thrive on. Good nutrition, being connected with the sun's rhythms, being connected with the earth. All these things bring balance, inshallah. So with the exception of humans that are living in industrialized societies, all living things on the planet are connected to the earth's electrical energy. And in industrial societies, you rarely go outside barefoot, and not many people are wearing natural leather shoes, because if you have a leather-soled shoe, it would actually conduct electricity, and then you'd be technically grounded. We're wearing rubber or like plastic-soled shoes, and they act as a barrier to the Earth's energy. So you're being insulated, you're being separated from, there's this barrier between you and the Earth. And the other thing is, a lot of people don't sleep on the ground anymore. Most people live like I said, in buildings, you're up on a bed, they're not connected with the earth as you're sleeping. So that's the word I want to drive home. A lot of people are disconnected. The more disconnected you are, then the more ill you're going to feel. So you're saying, okay, you keep talking about grounding, so what are the benefits of grounding? Can you tell me more? So, like I said, there's actually decreased levels of pain and inflammation. Now, there was a study where a 44-year-old woman had chronic back pain, and it was monitored by thermography, which is basically a scan that looks at different areas where there's a production of heat, hence the word thermography, thermo. And this is actually an imaging system that's used in medicine. And what happened is a thermographic scan was done before she grounded herself and after. And this was after 4 nights of sleeping grounded. So 4 nights of her sleeping directly on the ground. And the woman reported herself 30% reduction in pain, 70% reduction in pain interfering with sleep, 30% reduction in morning stiffness and soreness. And after 4 weeks of doing that, 80% reduction in pain, no sleep interference whatsoever, 70% reduction in morning stiffness and soreness. So by 8 weeks, she pretty much said her pain was gone. This is how deep this stuff is. And yesterday in my live, I talked about my experience with camping out with my family. And I mentioned my daughter who had very horrific sleeping patterns where she would stay up until, she wouldn't nap, she'd stay up and not nap until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and then she'd be up until midnight. And when we camped on the first night of camping without electricity, we all naturally slept shortly after sunset, and we woke up with the sun. We felt good. So in other words, what happened is our cortisol levels were balanced, our melatonin levels were balanced. Similarly, because we slept on the ground that night, obviously that's why we had such a refreshing and such a pleasant sleep, and we felt so rejuvenated the next day. And the other thing I want to talk about from my own personal experience is that time when I went camping, it was actually close to an area that had a lake, like a beach with a lake. And I was 2 months pregnant at the time with my son. And it was a different pregnancy, because this time it wasn't my first where I could sleep when I wanted and do what I wanted. I had to take care of another one. So obviously my stress levels were much higher. And for some odd reason, this is before I knew any of this stuff, I had this desire at the beach to dig a hole really, really deep in the sand and just bury myself in there, with the exception of my head. And honestly, no exaggeration whatsoever, that was probably the most soothing experience of my entire life. How I felt after that. And now looking back at it, I realized I must have been getting so many electrons from the earth, because I was seriously grounding, like just in there, deep. And it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. And I would love to repeat that again, inshallah. So going back to that, grounding, it actually reduces stress levels, right? Like I said, the stress hormones and the cortisol and the melatonin, they all balance out. And there was a study that looked at the effects of being grounded while sleeping, like I said, with the 8-week study. And this one with 12 men and 12 men and women. And with this 8-week study, 11 out of 12 fell asleep faster. Okay, 5 out of 6 women had less PMS and hot flashes symptoms. 75% of them felt more refreshed and more energy, so 9 out of the 12. And 9 out of 12 had less emotional stress, less anxiety, less depression, and they were just less irritable. And in addition, like I said, they slept better and they woke up feeling more refreshed. The other cool thing about grounding is it's actually improves your circulation. So when you improve your circulation, you actually improve the delivery of oxygen to your tissues and the nutrients to your tissues as well. So there's going to be a better flow to your face. You're going to be glowing more. You know what I mean? And a study was done where they took a laser contrast camera and it showed on a woman a significant facial blood flow improvement within half an hour of grounding. So just within half an hour of grounding, you're going to have improved circulation and you're going to have more flow, so throughout all your body system, you know. And like I said, it helps you sleep better. The other unintended side effect of this is a lot of people, they report they have actually increased energy levels. and I testify this to myself, if you ever are inside and you have a chance to go outside barefoot, lay down on the grass, do something like that. Within half an hour, you'll notice that you have more energy to go about your daily chores. And like I said, I did that myself yesterday. It was beautiful. And the reason how does this work is, again, the cortisol levels, they're more normalized, and cortisol has to do with stress and has to do with inflammation. So when you don't have that as much, when your body's not so busy with like fighting inflammation and trying to bring down that stress, all of a sudden you have this boost of energy, like, oh, alhamdulillah, I can do this. It's not that bad. Now, like I said, the movement is growing. A lot of people not do it. It doesn't matter what people think. Go for it. Try it. You can do it in your backyard. You can do it while you're playing with your kids. All it takes is about 20 minutes to half an hour. And see the difference that it makes in your pain, in your stress levels, in your energy levels, in your sleep. And you can sit, you can stand, you can lay down. I chose yesterday to just lie down at the park with my son, and I felt very, very good after that. If you have a chance to go to the beach, try it in the sand, inshallah. The only thing that doesn't really conduct anything is wood or asphalt or vinyl. Those are not conductive. But if you're on the sand, if you're on concrete, if you're on the grass, that works out, inshallah. Now, I wanted to mention that there's a website called the Society for Barefoot Living. They say in their homepage, and I'm going to quote this for you, "Going barefoot is the gentlest way of walking and can symbolize a way of living, being authentic, vulnerable, sensitive to our surroundings. It's the feeling of enjoying warm sand beneath our toes, or carefully making our way over sharp rocks in the darkness. It's a way of living that has the lightest impact, removing the barrier between us and nature." And this is Adele Coombs from Barefoot Dreaming. And in the book, Take Off Your Shoes and Walk, there's a podiatrist called Dr. Wickler, and he advocated for going barefoot for better foot health, right? So there's a whole other topic on feet, like foot health, and the concept of shoes, especially for children. And a lot of times, actually, shoes, they can actually deform and distort your feet. But like I said, that's a whole other topic on its own. Now, I always love to look at Islam, you view things from the Islamic lens. As a Muslim, I just look at it through that way. There's so many examples that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us in the Quran, in the Sunnah, in the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what I wanted to end off this video is give you an example from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I'm going to give you a hadith. Abdullah ibn Buraidah, and this is found collected in Abu Dawood 3629, that a man from the companion of the Prophet ﷺ traveled to Fadala ibn Obeid, may Allah be pleased with him, while he was in Egypt. So he arrived at him and said, "I have not come to visit you, but you and I have heard a hadith from the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, and I hope that you have some knowledge from him." Okay, the Prophet ﷺ, about it. And he said, "What is it?" And he said, "Such and such." Then he said, "Why do I see you disheveled while you are the leader of the land?" And he said, "The Messenger of Allah ﷺ has forbidden us from indulging too much in the comforts of life." He said, "Why don't I see any shoes on you?" He said, "The Prophet ﷺ used to command us to go barefoot sometimes." Okay, and like I said, this is found in Abu Dawood 3629. So I encourage you from now, get used to it, incorporate it in your daily routine from now, so you're already used to it by the time Ramadan comes. You want to read the Quran, go outside in your backyard, go outside somewhere, go to the park, and sit down and read the Quran in the sun while you're grounded on the ground. Go outside for the ladies, go outside and do your prayers there in your backyard. Like I said, if you're at the park with your kids, do your prayers there, take off your shoes and feel. It feels so different to perform a prayer outside in nature like that, subhanAllah. And for any of us who are into gardening, and a lot of people know this who are gardeners, nothing feels better than sticking your feet in the mud. It's extremely soothing, the squishiness. If you haven't tried it yourself, inshallah. So I hope you found today's video beneficial. Please like, share it with your friends and family. And inshallah, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day number 8 of the pre-Ramadan reboot. Jazakumullahu khairan and assalamu alaikum.